spoke at UCL back at the spring, I think it was. And really it was to try and tackle some of the things that came out of the conversation there, which was the lack of really concrete evidence for what I was doing for myself as much as for anyone else. And so I wanted to, so the way I did this was to do a survey to try and get to grips with who everyone was. And I had some help because obviously people have to fill out the survey. So obviously I have to thank those people. And many of them are probably in this room, I expect. But I can be assured, and I think the results will demonstrate that not all of them are in this room. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, actually, because it kind of goes well with how it all works out. Lorna and Faye were really helpful in working out what kind of questions I wanted to ask. I developed a sort of methodology in my head, which I've since kind of, upon asking questions, completely expunged to some extent. But I think there was, hopefully the method of my madness will come through. But I wanted to keep the questions short. I wanted to get as many responses as possible. And keeping them short seemed like the best way to do that. And in the process, some important questions fell out, and other more interesting ones came up as well. So the process of doing this within English Heritage kicked up its own issues, which was that I wanted to use SurveyMonkey. I was aware we had SurveyMonkey, and then when I asked to use it, I was informed that I would be given access without login details. So Gemma Parsons very kindly agreed to upload my survey onto SurveyMonkey. And I greatly appreciate the work she did, but you can imagine the difficulties that having someone else load your survey onto the surveying tool might create to the ultimate outcome. Having now produced the survey and produced the results you'll see today, as well as additional data that I'd be more than happy to share with anyone in this room, I've not once actually seen the back end of SurveyMonkey where you enter your questions, process your data, or do anything that SurveyMonkey allows you to do other than fill in the test survey that Gemma very kindly created for me. And so I do greatly appreciate the work she did in helping making this possible. And also, Faye was extraordinarily helpful in showing me how to create pivot tables. It's kind of an interesting thing to stand in front of you as someone who's was referred to yesterday as an early adopter, when actually Excel is something that I've actively avoided for well over a decade. And not knowing how to do pivot tables until about 3 weeks ago proved to be a real challenge. But hopefully I've managed to overcome that. So this is what I had. I have had a mass of people for some time now. When I did the survey, I had just over 5,000 followers, and I now have just under 1,500 followers. So I have a huge crowd of people, but as you can see from this picture, I didn't really know a great deal about them. And I wanted to know more about them, and I'm going to just discuss with you how much more I know and the kinds of issues that came up from doing this. So what I'm going to do is really quickly run through some of the questions that I had, and then I'm going to try and hone in on a particular issue that I want to focus in on. But just backtrack a little bit and explain something I've forgotten to explain, which is that I maintain the Archaeology Twitter feed. A lot of you probably already know that. Emily Glass referred to it yesterday as instead of it being a walled fort, we're a walled garden. I mean, sorry, walled garden or walled fort, and it's very literally true, and to some extent, a lot of the content is very much that way. That when I can find it, it comes from within the fort, and when I can't, it comes from a lot of people in this room, to be honest, as well as my trawling through Twitter, through Facebook, through Flickr, through LinkedIn, any resource I can find, and referring back to the kind of adoption of technology, also corporate communications email, which is an internal email of kind of archaeology news, which is a wealth of information for a lot of what I put out there. And so we'll just go with, I think I'm going to start with what I know, and this is the information that I get through Hootsuite, which is the tool we use, and anything I tweet on the Archaeology Twitter feed that comes through Hootsuite and that is a link, they can give me stats on. So it encourages me to try and tweet links. And so I know that roughly 65% of the people who are engaging with the tweets that I put out there are in the UK. Now, with 5,000 plus followers, I can be fairly certain that isn't all just archaeologists. But we're going to explore that a bit more later. And then I also know what people are doing. So I took a snapshot, and the previous slide reflects that as well, of the activity from October 2011 until September 2012, which is roughly about the time I started the survey. So it's to try and capture that previous year, a snapshot of that. And conveniently, it captures what is currently still my most popular tweet, which was the Open University's excavations at Stonehenge. And I think starting with wow made a big difference, because it was a really amazing project and a really interesting article, I thought. And it was really fascinating, and I think a lot of people felt that way. So that got 108 click-throughs directly from me. And I should clarify, these are just the click-throughs that I get. If someone retweets it, that's theirs. I don't get to see any traffic on that. So that's an obstacle towards trying to understand the volume of activity that is occurring and how much interaction people are actually having with what I'm doing. So of the most popular tweets that I've put out with links, I went through and took that list, and now there's a list of 96 of them, because at some point you just become one, and it becomes one into nausea, so they just cut it off at 96, and or maybe that was just the arbitrary number they chose, but I used that, and then I categorized them according to, so these are the amount of actual click-throughs people had based on the types of information. And that'll come up later, because those are the sorts of questions that I asked people in the survey as well. And then these are the types of content that that was being that people were engaging with, and that people were interested in. So, okay, and so I'm going to run through this really quickly, because these are just to kind of summarize the sorts of questions I was asking people. So, how long have they followed us? Who do they think we are? How active are they on Twitter? The things they find most interesting and useful, and the reliability of the resource that we provide, and then how do we compare to other sources, and then finally the point that I really want to go into greater detail on, which is who they are, and it's this group that I really wanted to focus in on, was this other. But before I do that, I just want to point out that the 38 people of the 106 that took the survey, and now 104 I could actually categorize it this way, so I had to drop out 2. But the 38 people are heritage professionals. These are archaeologists who use Twitter. These are people working in museums, academics, or group them all together, because I wanted to try and identify those people who did that, but also to just flag up that these are likely to be the people too who will be putting out surveys on Twitter and expecting people to fill them out. So there's a degree of reciprocity among at least a portion of this group, and that desire and motivation to contribute to other people's research would be really prevalent, I believe, amongst that percentage of those taking the poll. And so it allows me, I think, to say that those 59 people, the majority of people who took the survey, really are, reflect a good proportion of the people that are actually following. And then I also think it's quite interesting there's such a small number of students that actually took part in the survey. Now that could be because there's very few that follow me. It could be very few that have bothered to fill in the survey, and it could be that the actual reflection of how Twitter is being used within archaeology as well. And I don't know that, but I think it's quite interesting. So the issue that came up at the last time I spoke at UCL was about this idea of the echo chamber, that really we're just all talking to each other. And I think, so I wanted to explore the other people that aren't in this echo chamber, that everyone else that is out there listening and engaged to some extent, at least, engaged enough to fill out the survey. And I think that shows a level of interest in and of itself. So, so looking at these, the group that filled in the other types of that were in this other group, I wanted to look at this is the overall number of clicks, and I wanted to look at how that related to what they thought was interesting and what they were engaged with. And so stepping back a little bit, I wanted to look at, these are the most popular clicks, and then the number of tweets is the number of tweets in this area. So just going back to there were two posts about volunteer opportunities, and among that, oops, sorry, we've got 31. You know, there's a lot of people that think that's a really interesting area, and they were engaging with that. And there were also, I don't know if I have it here, but there was, let's see, anyhow, those two posts actually got something like 63 hits in total from the overall results. And I thought that was quite interesting, because really I'm reliant on a lot of information that I can find around my workplace. I'm also reliant on, on other people who produce this content and are looking for volunteers. So by all means, get in touch if you're looking for volunteers, because I think that I can encourage that level of engagement. And let's see. I also wanted to look at what they thought, how reliable they found the feed that I produce is. And again, the vast majority, I'm really very pleased with that level of reception. You know, I mean, to have literally one person say is variable is, I mean, I can live with that. I don't lose any sleep over that. And the don't knows are people that, you know, they literally aren't following anyone else. So their engagement is with me and me alone when it comes to archaeology. And again, I'm kind of happy about that too. So comparing to the other social media that they follow, there were 4 people that don't even follow me who filled in the survey, which I think is kind of funny. It was pretty clear on the survey that your following of me was a component of what I wanted to do. And you know, not knowing is fair enough. And 3 words again. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. And you know, to be about the same is, yeah, I'm happy with that. I think there's a lot of really good content actually out there. So whether I'm better than that is irrelevant. Just to be on par with that is showing that both everyone is doing well and I'm doing my job well, is how I see it at least. And so in conclusion, I do feel like, in a way, I know a little bit more, but it's just vast amounts I don't. And also I just thought I'd show you pie charts today, and I made a little less sense. And also this, you know, the counts of clicks per tweet. So we've got, this is the slide I was referring to earlier for volunteer opportunities. 62 clicks out of essentially 2 tweets is an incredible amount for what I think is you know, a really important area where we're going to need to be engaging more and using digital media to do so. And so yeah, that's demonstrating that point really, where I couldn't before. And then this reliability, again, I just think it's really fantastic. And also I just wanted to point out, because this came up yesterday, this whole idea of authority, and that actually they think it's a public relations team. That could be me not doing my job well, or people having a really inflated idea of what public relations teams are capable of doing. And I don't mean that to put down the public relations team. They do an incredibly good job of maintaining the English Heritage Archaeology, the English Heritage Twitter feed, which has tens of thousands more followers than I do, and I think they do a fantastic job. But you know, in the process of trying to create a different channel to discuss just archaeology, it may or may not matter that they don't know I'm an archaeologist, but it may be an area that I need to improve on in trying to make it clear that this is produced by archaeologists. And I don't want to do that by giving them the answer. I want it to demonstrate that. And maybe that's an area that I'm failing to meet right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say.